Well, hey friends, and welcome to episode number 200 of the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm super excited. I actually didn't realize we were going to have our 200th episode in our three-part series. I guess I just didn't do the math. So welcome, and I'm so excited, and I can't believe we have 200 episodes. So thank you for continuing to listen to us here at the Creative Shop Talk podcast, for following and sharing and telling everybody about us. So we've just been overwhelmed, or I should say I have been, and my team has been overwhelmed by all of the support we get and the shares. And thank you for listening. I don't know, I'm gushing at this point in time over you and all of you in your beautiful shops. And I hope the podcast is making a difference to you. I appreciate so much when you leave reviews, when you send me emails, when you share and tag us in your Instagram post. It makes such a difference. If anything, I'm going to tell you right now, it just boosts my confidence in the fact that someone's out there listening. I don't know what it is. And maybe, I don't know if you ever felt this way about your shop, like you're like, no one's going to come in ever again. Like, that's it. Like, no one's going to come in. I don't know. I feel sometimes like no one's ever going to, like, that's it. They're not going to listen to the podcast anymore. But you keep listening, and I'm so happy, and I'm so grateful, and thank you. 200 episodes in. So we've been super consistent. We started at the beginning. We started the first podcast. If you haven't been around for a while, we started during COVID. So during the pandemic, we had launched a few podcasts. I had them all in the bank, ready to roll. And, everything in retail changed really quickly. So we kind of regrouped and put out some podcasts that we have heard you found very helpful. So thank you for your continuing listening to me here babble and our special guests that we bring in. And I'm hoping that you keep continuing to find value here at the Creative Shop Talk podcast. So thank you. And if you're new around here, and this is episode 1 for you, I promise I don't usually start off by babbling. So I did want to thank you for listening. And today is part 3 of our visibility strategy series. I'm like, wow, this is been something I've wanted to do for a while. I know we talk a lot about marketing, and we talk a lot about sharing, how to get better found, and how to run better marketing. Marketing's so dang hard sometimes, right? We find it like it just feels heavy and hard, and it doesn't have to be. I'm on a mission to help make your shop life easier and everything that you do in your shop life. But marketing is one of the key components. We can have the most amazing shop. And I know you do. You work so hard at it, right? We have beautiful things in our stores. We have great service. We really care about our community. And oh yeah, we have to do all this marketing, and how come no one's coming in? And that's the purpose of this podcast series, is to be found, to stop hiding, and to be better found. So our visibility series it's been fun to do. So today is part 3. So again, put your earbuds in. We're going to share some more ways. I think this one is really helpful. I think part 3 today you'll find very helpful. If you haven't listened to the first parts, part 1 and part 2, I'm going to urge you to have a listen to them as well. You don't have to necessarily listen to them in order. However, I really would encourage you to go listen and go back and listen to episode 198, 199, and then today, episode 200 of our 3-part visibility series and getting better found. I guess we have to stop hiding. Our Stop Hiding series is what we're going to call this, I think. Anyhow, my friends, put your earbuds in, grab your books. Let's get started on today's episode, part 3 of the series. Running a retail business doesn't have to be so hard. Welcome to the Creative Shop Talk podcast, the go-to podcast for creative shop owners, studio owners, and independent retailers. I'm your host, Wendy Batten, retail business coach and mentor. Each week, I'll share simple, proven business strategies, inspiring stories from fellow retailers, and advice from industry experts. Together, we're going to work to find the success you want from your retail business, with more profits in your till and a little more joy in your life. Okay, if you remember in the first part of this series, we were talking about, I shared, we really have to know who our people are and where they're hanging out and, all of that, and who else needs to know you and who else needs to find your shop. So today we're going to talk a little bit kind of as an extension on that. I know part 2 I shared with you on different ways to be found, and today I want to talk about being community minded and more being better found. And when I being better found and in your community itself, like right in the community, in ways that we can collaborate with other businesses and other business owners, ways that we can be more community minded and, really be seen in our own community. And when I say our own community, I want you to think back to the first episode when I said, how far are your people coming from? Where are they coming from? So if you're a destination location from, 2 hours, 1 hour, 20 minutes away, whatever it is for you in your community, maybe it's just 3 blocks over. You finally get them to come over from 3 blocks over. Whatever that is for you, keep that in mind when we talk about where you need to be spending some intentional time and energy of being found, So one of the things I wanted to remind you is that we haven't talked a lot. This hasn't been like an Instagram and Facebook how-to, right? I'm not sitting here telling you get on Facebook and do all that, and ways to increase your Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all of those things, because again, those are tools, not strategy. So as a reminder, we want to think about the strategy. What is the purpose? Why are we doing this, and what do we want to achieve? That's what you want to ask yourself as I'm going through all these things. What do we want to achieve? And how are we going to do it? So we don't have to use all the things, all the tools. We don't have to be everywheres. We use those as tools to get the desired outcome. And just keep reminding you what strategy is versus, action. So one of the first ways of collaborating, I'm going to talk about collaborating, I think a little bit heavy on this one, is understanding that you have to be, again, better known in your community and strategic and intentionally planning out how we're going to be better known. So what that could look like under collaborations. So what I mean by collaborations is basically borrowing other people's audiences and other people's, their lists and their reputation. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in a very cool way, because there's so many great ways that we can collaborate. So you can collaborate with other shops or services in your community. Like, where else do those ideal customers that we talked about, where else do they hang out? Where else do they shop? What else are they doing? Where else are they going? What other things in the community do they take part in? Where are they, maybe it's schools, maybe it's the daycare. I don't know what that looks like for you and your ideal clients, but start thinking about where else they hang out and how can you collaborate with that other business owner. So instead of thinking of it like we have to do this big giant collaboration, it could just be a simple, who else, what other business owner, where could we speak and meet on and share each other's audiences. So maybe it's a quick shout out on each other's email list. That's a simple collaboration. It doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't have to be this big, party or whatever. It can be as easy as asking and making connections and asking your fellow business owners to do a little shout out for your next event coming out. Well, hey there, my friend. I hope you are enjoying this podcast series on being found, being known, and hopefully you will stop hiding because you have a lot to share. I also wanted to share with you at this time, especially if you're a brick and mortar retailer, really looking to level up a little bit on your marketing game without wasting any time, energy, or money, because we just don't have a lot of that to spare these days, right? I want to just remind you that there are 3 different opportunities for you to get the support you need around your marketing. There's no reason not to be able to do this. We've made it super affordable with our 1-hour on-demand workshop. It's called Foot Traffic Made Simple. It is packed with all the basics that you need to kickstart your marketing efforts so that you have all of the areas of the funnel filled, so you can consider what to put in all of those areas for your own feel-good marketing strategy. It's not about what everybody else is doing. It's about filling those parts of the strategy, or putting strategy in place to fill all those parts of the funnel your way so that everybody can find your beautiful shop. We also have a large workshop inside the Retailer's Inner Circle. So if you're looking for a little more support, you're going to want to join us inside the Retailer's Inner Circle. You can grab the workshop called Foot Traffic Made Simple. We have the workshop, we have supporting documents, we have promotional ideas. We also have in that group the opportunity for you to ask me anything inside that group during our monthly roundtables or in weekly posts. So if you're looking for help and you want a fabulous community, you can join us inside the Retailer's Inner Circle. And I should mention, it's not really about me and how I help you, it's about the community. They have all tried these ideas and they have implemented the foot traffic strategy. So they have information to offer and support to give. So I give the advice or the lessons and will help answer any of your questions. The community inside will help support you and with idea generation. We also have one of my favorite things to do is our small group 6-week sales and marketing accelerator program. This is a favorite of mine. It's kicking off in April and it has proven and actionable steps. It's a small group of really dedicated retailers. And if that's you and you're interested in really just having me walk alongside you with a small group of people, let's get together. Join me for 6 weeks starting in April, and we will together build your marketing strategy. This has been a very powerful program. That's why I'm repeating it again this spring. Last year we did it twice. We've had retailers take it both times with great success, and they see such momentum that they're joining us again. I've already been told, like, when are you doing it? And they're already lining up to join us. It is a limited seating capacity. So if that's something that's of interest to you, please make sure you join us. That's called the Sales Accelerator Program. It starts in April. I hope you will join us. And I hope you will consider putting into place a full marketing strategy for you and your beautiful business. If any of these programs are of interest to you, check them all out at wendybatten.com. Let's make it happen. Okay, my friends, let's get back to the show. Sometimes we overthink collaborations. Collaborations could just be, hey, Fred or Joe's Coffee, I'm curious if you would just share. We have our upcoming whatever extravaganza or fall fling or whatever it is coming up. Could you just shout out and, hey, what do you have coming up? How can I shout out something to you? That's what we call borrowing other people's audiences. So that's all that collaborations are. Now it can be way cooler things too. It could be running an event together or running an event with a few businesses together. But instead of thinking it has to be your whole downtown or your whole town event, maybe there's 3 of you that collaborate on something coming up, a little Smith Street shop hop. It doesn't have to be a massive, big event. So it can be, though. I've seen some amazing, massive, big events. I've seen tons of my clients are doing amazing events with, multiple shops and multiple towns even involved with some of these events. It can be really big. Collaborations can be in a crazy, wonderful way to spread the news and get your name out there and be better known and be found. You can also do things like bringing in local vendors or your makers or other artisans or other people in your shop or in your community that have a reputation. So that's, about sharing their audience, right? So collaborations are really just the idea of borrowing each other's audiences. That's what I want you to think about around collaborations. Another step in becoming known around community is community involvement, being involved in your team. And really what this looks like is having your brand meet new people. It doesn't always have to be you. It's your brand that needs to meet new people. So this could be attending gatherings, groups, local events happening, and making sure that your brand is represented. Cannot speak today. Anyhow, this also could be, just being part of sports clubs or just you, if it is you or some of your key employees going as representative to, a local, just a local music festival or something, as long as your brand is represented there. So it doesn't have to be the big, heavy networking events, although those can be good too, getting your getting your name out if you have the Chamber of Commerce or whatever it is, meet and greets. And again, think about your brand and what feels good to you. And it probably will take some intentional time for you to set up. And again, this is why we plan out in our promotional calendar. Hey, when is the last time we did any kind of local networking? We put it on we're intentional and we put it on our promotional calendar. It's part of our promotional calendar to pay attention to that. So getting out in the community. So you might choose to be out in the community weekly. Someplace it could be your local bridge club. Like maybe you're just going to go play cards. Maybe you are just going to go to local yoga and you're going to join a yoga class, which is good for you. And you're just going to make sure, but it needs to be someplace where you actually have conversation and people know what you do. So maybe yoga's not the thing, but if that all is possible for you, but if it's not possible for you, maybe it's possible for one of your employees. Maybe one of your employees can join as, something that is meaningful to them, that they'll actually take ownership about going as a representative of the company or the brand. So think about it. So the community involvement is when your brand is meeting new people in the community. And again, community can be as far away as you want it to be. So maybe it's a conference up in another town that you're trying to bring people in, a visibility conference, someplace where you're going to be seen and people are going to say, hey, that's the girl from that shop. That's cool, right? So also sponsoring, and we love to tiptoe around sponsoring. The advice around sponsoring is making sure that you sponsor things that are meaningful to you, that will have an impact on your ideal customer. Let's not waste a lot of money. And even though you want to be community minded and you want to say yes to all of the sponsorships, you're still a small business. This is just a total side note. You're still a small business that has to really pay attention to how much money you put out there. So if sponsoring an event checks all the boxes in that it is the ideal customer from the right location, it's going to get your name out there, there's an ROI, a return on your investment, like you really can feel like what does that look like? We're going to sponsor this event. It's going to get us great exposure. And this is how many people we need to walk in the door, to make this work. And I think that makes sense. We'll probably, get that many customers. Then say yes. Please don't say yes to everything that comes through the door. And if you're having a hard time saying no because it's, everybody in town and you don't want to look like the bad guy, you can just say our sponsor budget, or we'll take it under consideration, or you can say our sponsor budget is completely full at this time. We've already got everything allocated, but, we'll see what we can do. And, thank you for asking us. That's, a good way to get out of sponsoring everything that comes in. But I just want to remind you, so that's community involvement and making sure that you're getting seen around town, making sure or around your area. And part of that is, part of being seen can also be the visibility of you actually physically being seen around town. And what I mean by that is it could be on your van, it could be on your, your vehicles. Maybe you have logos on your vehicle. Maybe and the goal here is that I see you everywhere. I see your brand everywhere. So this could mean you are sporting swag. And by swag, I mean, maybe you have t-shirts or jackets or hats that, you sell in your shop or you give away during open houses, it's intentional and part of your marketing plan, that the customers who love you have a chance to maybe win this really cool bag. And many of you heard my story. Many times I share the story of walking around my town with my bag and my logo on it and always being stopped and always being asked, hey, you're that girl. I see you all over town, So it does happen. And again, this can be also where your logo shows up in when you're thinking about sponsored events and you're thinking about, will my logo and my name, like it's okay to sponsor things and give money away, but is my actual business name going to show up someplace on a banner, in a flyer? Like, is this actually going to get my name in front of the right people? And the goal here is, wow, I see you everywhere. Like, we just want them to see your name and your brand. And again, it doesn't have to always be you. It can be your customers bragging around your brand. It can be your staff bragging around your brand and putting your brand everywhere. It could be intentional marketing strategy around just you sponsoring and being really intentional about where the signage or your brand is going to be. So what happens here is that they repeatedly see your business and they repeatedly see you showing up in the community or your brand showing up in the community. Frequency matters. Frequency matters. Recently, I had a client who called me and she's like, oh my gosh, something really weird happened. People sort of forgot about her and she was thinking that she was stale or old or, I don't know. Again, back to that thing where it's like, oh, that's it. No one's going to come in the shop again. And she realized that she had really gotten out of the habit of being around town. A lot of that had to do with posts, things that were happening. And her longtime brand, her brand has been around for a while. Her shop hasn't moved. Her shop hasn't changed. Like, it's changed for the better. Like all these cool things are still happening in her store. But she specifically said, Wendy, she said, I have not been anywheres or done anything, intentionally. Like she just hadn't made any specific intentions about being out and about. She kind of didn't realize that she hadn't been around, and she hadn't really been intentional about getting back into the habit. So if that's you, and you don't want to be forgotten from people, because for her, what was happening is people were saying, oh, I didn't know you were still running your shop. I forgot you guys were down there, down the road or whatever. And this was happening, she went to a few dinner parties and she had a few people say that. And it was starting to really, really affect her. And that's when she realized, wow, I just have not been out. I haven't been in the community. I haven't been seen. No one's seeing me. I haven't, I don't have my logo or brand and I haven't been out like she was doing very intentionally when she first opened her business. And, you're really trying to get known. And she took for granted and got complacent, which we all do at times. She got complacent about being the talk of the town, right? Being the chatter, as we talked about in the last couple of episodes. So chatter matters. We need people talking about us. She was still doing fine. Business was fine, but it started to thrive again when she got intentional about being back around town. And she also, for the record, she also did the other things we've talked about this past couple of podcast episodes, about using SEO, and she really got intentional about where her people were coming from. So I hope you found that helpful, and my reminder of, collaborations, community involvement, and being seen in and around your town, and thinking about what that could look like for you. Everybody does things differently. We all have different methods, but we should all really consider kind of having the same type of strategy in that we want to be found and we want to be seen. So I hope you've been finding these three episodes helpful. I have been wanting to put them sort of all together, squish them together. I know we talk about a lot of these things in different podcasts and past podcasts, but I wanted to pull them all together, especially when I hear retailers like my client who said, I kind of been slipping a little bit in the marketing, and marketing feels hard. And the first thing that comes to mind, and we always talk about this, is, we just have to do more social media. And again, all of these things we talked about today are going to be amplified by sharing them on your social media, or your TikTok or wherever you're doing your thing. But really the strategy comes first. And I do want to remind you that we have lots of ways of helping you. If you want to join us, my 6-week sales accelerator and strategy program is starting in April. We already have people registering it's already, I won't say filling up. We already have people registered. It is a small group. It is a very, very popular program. If you want hands-on, high-touch help with your sales and marketing. It's not just marketing. We're going to talk about sales as well too. We're going to work through the entire sales strategy, and we do it your way. I always say it's choose your own adventure. It's like we're going to talk about how can you get involved in the community, and then you're going to pick your adventure. There's no one, and I'm not going to tell you have to go to every Chamber of Commerce meeting, and that's just the way it is. So I just want to remind you that we have the whole 3-part series. I hope you listen to that. We have lots of support you can find on my website. We'll have some information on the show notes. If you want to join me in April for the Sales Accelerator program, I would love to have you there. It's a really high touch, and I'm smiling as I'm saying this. I hope you can hear that. I just love that program. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun working together. It's a together program where I'm going to walk through the framework side by side with you, and we'll put your strategy together your way, the choose your own adventure way. But as long as you have all the parts of the framework filled out, including this visibility portion, and making sure that we are filling in the upper part of the funnel. And again, hate calling it a funnel, but that's what it is. We have to be known by many so that we can get some come into the shop, and then some will buy, and then some will come back again and again. And it's just a wonderful way to run your business, and being found and not hiding. Again, not hiding. I'm so wanting your shop to be well known in your community and as far away as you want it to be known, so that it can be the success you want it to be. We cannot be just in our own world. We have to be marketing mindset, and marketers. This is part of our job now. It's one of the hats we have to wear, is the CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. And we have to make sure we're taking care of our marketing so that more people can find your beautiful shop. This is what we want to do, and this is how we want to help you. So I hope you've enjoyed this series, my friend. I hope it's been helpful to you. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you can. Share on Instagram if you can. I would be so grateful. I've heard other people call it podcast currency. It's like, I'm doing the podcast for you, and in exchange, I would love for you to share it with other people so that we can be found by more and more retailers just like you. So thanks, my friends. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and we'll see you soon. Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm so glad that you're here to join us this week, and I hope you found value in what we're sharing here. I want to remind you that our website has all of the show notes. You can find it at wendybatten.com/podcast. Everything that you need to hear about today's podcast is there. Also an opportunity if you need to reach out to me. If I can support you in any way whatsoever, please feel free to reach out. So thanks for joining us. Please leave a review, subscribe if you can, and never miss an episode. We hope to see you back here again next week. Thanks, my friend. Have a great week.